when you look at all the other players in the market, and they're vertically integrated, they focus intently on the user experience, and their pace of innovation is insane. For us, an incumbent, we have to step up to run at the same pace.
Yeah, there's definitely a speed element, but there's also an inflow of capital that has reached this industry at a record high. Also in the past, the center of gravity used to be between the US and Europe, but it's no longer the case. You hear new entrants from India, from China, Japan, or the UAE. It's not only about satellite, it's what do we do with satellites? There's a whole trend of softwareization, of data as a capital, I would call it. So these are big shifts and big trends in the industry that we need to embrace.
So why innovate?
If you look at content producers, content distributors, you see there's a lot of consolidation happening, right? So all these different little channels we used to have in the past are now becoming those big conglomerates, and then the question really is, where's the market going? Suddenly you don't have all these different players anymore. You have a couple of really big ones who have a lot of capital, as you said, who are able to speed things up, who bring things in-house, and that then leaves the question, what do we do?
And to illustrate, so we were, in our journey, we spoke to a lot of customers, and there was one case which was striking, actually. So we take it for granted that we're going to put some content up in the satellites and it's going to be ingested on the customer side. And that customer told us, hey, this antenna that I have on the roof is the only thing standing in the way for me to cloudify my workflow. And that was a teaching moment for us, because we said, oh, wow, we took it as an assumption, we took it as granted that they would actually ingest our content with an antenna. What if we could dematerialize it or virtualize it?
And I think you make a really, really important point there. We work a lot with assumptions based on what we've done in the past, based on how we've done things in the past, how we've had our technology. But especially with COVID, things have changed so rapidly.
But I think it's also trying to align with where our customers are headed. Yeah. Bruno, you make the point about cloudification. We've learned that all customers are on a cloud journey. Well, we have a great relationship with Microsoft and a lot of the cloud players. How do we leverage that to transform what we're building so it's much easier to consume?
Olivier, you've talked a lot about transforming while performing. What does that mean for L192 and SES going forward?
People who look at you as a company, as a customer, as a shareholder, as an employee, do I believe in the future of that company? And you innovate on all dimensions: culture, innovation, product innovation, service, business model. And you have to find, in the right time, how much effort do you spend on performing, operationally making it better, versus innovating. And I think for SES, being long in market, you tend to spend a lot of time on operations. However, you created L192. What is L192 and how did you enhance the innovation excellence within the company?
That's a good question. So L192 has a pretty simple purpose: to radically transform the way we think, and also to take ideas from inception to impact. So our approach to innovation is very customer-centric. We really want to understand who is actually using the service, but then also, how do we start to influence the internal SES culture to really now empower everybody in the organization to be an innovator? The challenge with an innovation team is that everybody kind of looks at us to solve some of these problems. But now, how do we democratize? How do we make it pervasive, where you could be an intern, you could be a new employee, you think it's in your DNA of how we solve problems, because ultimately, it's about solving problems.
It's slightly more complicated than that, because you could say, hey, you have a team here. When they find good ideas and they prove a good product market fit, they just hand it over to ops and they're going to exploit. So we would do the explore, they would do the exploit. There's actually a valley of death in between, because you may come up with something good, but how do you transition it back into the business? That's a big challenge. But I see that as a key to success. We can come up with good ideas, prove that there's product market fit, but it's not over. There's the continuation and the scale up and harvest the innovation.
And especially around software products, you need infrastructure for it, or even if it's the cloud where you run it, you need to manage that. It's not that you deploy something there and then somebody else takes it over and runs it. So you get these cross-functional teams. So you need to integrate it with your product development. You can do short cycles to products. You can do short tests. But therefore, you need a different organizational structure than you have in your incumbent, where you have your IT team, where you have your, oh yeah, this is software integration team perhaps. You need to have the structure so that it fits for being fast. And so this is why we also have to support on that journey.
When you're an incumbent, you get set in your ways.
Yeah.
You look at the same things over and over. We are trying to challenge that and say, hey, what else can we look at? We've been fortunate that we can go and explore in a number of different areas. They may be adjacent, they may be not, but that's exactly why you want this team, scanning the horizon to see the disruptive technologies that are coming. Web3, we talk about the metaverse. People may think it's fictional, but there are NBA games that you could watch in the metaverse, right? So how do we use that platform to now potentially be another distribution endpoint for our content that we do already? This team was founded in the heart of COVID, which my recommendation to anybody starting an innovation team, probably not the best time to do it. But we bonded exactly on fighting this challenge. Commercial shipping industry, sailors were on the vessels for 9 months to a year at a time during COVID. We were able to interview 28 seafarers across the world and ultimately then come up with a solution that brought our strengths to the table to help them solve a problem. We took our content distribution relationships, built unique partnerships to be able to then craft a package that would allow them to feel more connected. Because as we learned, the problem was really about connectedness. It wasn't about TV or watching more or consuming more content. It was about, how do I get connected? So we were really able to take the learnings from the field, and we built a CDN, we built a new Android TV app, we integrated it into our over-the-air platform, all in the matter of 3 months. And this is coming from a customer request. So for me, it's a clear example of how we could go from idea and the inception of the idea to impact.
It's just about how do we get people connected with their family. So what is it the users are trying to do at the end of the day? Rather than looking at technology, we made something fancy new, here you go, which people may not be able to use. So I really like your approach of taking the human, putting that at the center of everything, and trying to fix whatever is their problem. Is actually the most wonderful thing about innovation.
One of our ambitions is to make a difference.
Yeah.
So, and we take that to heart, right? The challenge to this team is, how do we make it real? How do we really make an impact with our connectivity to transform the lives across the world?